Hello and welcome to another episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby Babb, and today this is a very special episode. It's coming from one of our favourite places in the world. We're at Wingmans in Soho and we are doing the world's first FinTech podcast over chicken wings, and it's with that man, David Perkins. Perky, how are you, mate?
Very well, thank you very much indeed. First ever podcast with gloves.
So it's the first one with rubber gloves on that I've done, certainly about FinTech anyway.
Yeah.
Listen, it's absolutely fantastic to have you here. This is something we spoke about when you saw the Christmas sandwich one.
Yes.
Both of us share a bit of a love for this fine food we call chicken wings, and no better place to do it than Wingman Soho. So very kind David here to put us up and show us the way. So we're going to work through some of the spices whilst we're talking about your career, FinTech, the markets, everything else.
Perfect. I'd like to jump in there and say it's not a career. It's a string of jobs.
There you go.
I want to be very clear about that. But am I correct in saying what we're doing is we're moving up the spice level?
We're going to move all the way up the spices, and we're going to finish up with one of my favourites over here, the Jamaican Me Crazy. We're starting down with the Szechuan. So let's tuck in. Okay. Far away.
All right, I'm going to take the first one. We've got lots of chilies on. It worries me that this is one of the weak ones.
This is the weak ones. Well,
right.
This is, and like I say, it's not my first Wingman's rodeo. So
okay.
I'm a big drum guy.
Cheers.
Let's go for it. Phenomenal.
Really good.
The throat, succulent. You've got a bit of everything. Nice salty flavour to it. No spice yet.
No
It's a good starting.
It's a really good starting point. Yeah. Let's finish these and just stop it there.
We can go through it as we work our way through it. So speaking of working our way through, let's start at the beginning for you. Perky, tell us a little bit about your background, where you come from, your time in the markets. Tell us the story.
Yeah, thank you. So really what I'll talk about is where I started and how I've kind of ended up now working within FinTech. Career as a voice broker to start off with, which was a business, Michael Spencer business, Exco, which became ICAP. Moved from there to the sales side, so moved on to the dealer side and became a bond salesman. Early adopter of e-commerce, e-distribution. So I had an e-distribution role at Spearley's Kellogg, which became Goldman Sachs, Vandermeulen Bonds, and then ABN AMRO. And just note that we're getting more food coming in because we haven't got enough food.
Got to mix it up.
Thank you very much.
They're unbelievable. And this is David, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Wingman.
Wingman himself.
Enjoyed that.
Thank you. And then, I then had a role running e-distribution at ABN AMRO. And really, I think what that's all about, it was so early 2000s, so you're talking about a time where TradeWeb set up in 1998, Market Access was 2000, Bloomberg were just building out their AutoX platform, and it was about allowing the commoditized stuff, the transactional stuff, to go onto an electronic platform, and then affording salespeople more time to build out their structured sales where they could make more money. So it's interesting because it's a little bit like AI today. Does it take your job or does it actually augment what you do? So I'm sure we'll come on to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So interesting sort of paradox there, and you're seeing both of those transitions.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things, you either embrace it, go with it, or there's inertia and you try to fight it. And I think if you try and fight it, you'll eventually lose.
Yeah.
So ABN AMRO loved it. We did some really interesting, funky stuff. We did the first ever exclusive deal with Bloomberg, where we created a new issues platform. We had that functionality to ourselves. We did the first ever, I don't know if this is a badge of honor actually, we did the first ever electronic CDS trade, D2C. Really enjoyed it. 2008 happened, probably not great working at a bank and getting paid on a P&L of a bank at that point. And I got an opportunity to go to Tullett Prebon. So Tullett Prebon was number 2 voice broker, didn't really have an electronic strategy, and joined there, ran
A long time for that business as well.
It was great. Yeah. All the volatility, and it was a real learning curve because I'd come from this banking world now where I'd got kind of polished a little bit. A little bit, and then turned up at the voice broker, and it's like it was a wild west. But it was really enjoyable. Some really talented people, and
some genuine Wild West stories.
I've got some bruises still, and I work with Paul Humphrey. So obviously. Paul Humphrey's a
regular guest of the show.
Hopefully I'll get more views than him.
Well, it's got chicken wings. So he'll always say it was the wings that did it.
Yeah. So I worked for Humpy, and then Humpy left, and I went on the exec at Telepribon, ran the electronic strategy, electronic broking, and then the ICAP deal happened, and I got the gig to run TP ICAP combined. And really, what does that mean? So e-markets there meant running the hybrid services, running the pure electronic business, post-trade optimization, and also interacting with FinTechs. So it's a little bit across everything.
Started to bring you into that FinTech world, right?
Yeah. I don't know if you know many people in this. Do you know many people in the IDV space? Have you
Yeah. So and over the years, it's sort of like there's a lot of people who've made that move across as well, isn't there? Sort of followed that sort of pathway that you guys have done. But I think it's a phenomenal. As I said, look, that time we were doing quite a lot with your tullets and all those sort of things, and ICAP on the other side, and everything sort of moved further forward. I think it was a really interesting space for it.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would say is, and I think it kind of set me up for what I do today, is that if you go back when, so kind of 2005, going back a long time, 20 years, electronification meant electronic execution, because that's basically, that's all people cared about. And what we really now recognise was the execution piece is not that important as much. It's about pre-trade analytics, pre-trade data, it's about post-trade efficiency, it's about being regulatory compliant. So my kind of job as e-markets was it turned into more of a kind of a market structure role. How do we build things which make us compliant, make us efficient, and kind of future-proof us as fundamentally a voice broking business.
And that sort of lends you to here today. And what you're doing now. So expand on that a little bit.
I left TPI Cap about 4 years ago. Had a year out, so did lots of nice things. Very lucky. Did a wine course, ate a lot of chicken wings, and then didn't know what to do. Didn't know if I wanted to go back full time, and I just organically started picking up some advising and consulting work. So what that really looked like was a fintech approached me and say, look, we are trying to sell into these companies. You appear to have a network and a relationship. Could you help? And so I would go in. I'd look at their products. I'd look at their go-to-market strategy. I'd opine on that. Some would listen, some wouldn't. And eventually, really, what I focused in on was trying to reduce their sales cycle. So you're talking to, make up a name, you're talking to a senior rates guy at Goldman Sachs. That's probably not the right guy to talk to for what you're trying to achieve. It's an AI project. The rates guy's not the right guy. You need to go somewhere else. So it was identifying the best touch point, and hopefully with my network leaning into that and speeding up their sales cycle.
I think it's so important, that network, isn't it? And that's a great advantage that people don't necessarily have all the time. It's, as I say, great ideas, great technology, just pointing at the wrong people. And I think that's the sort of advantage that you can bring with what you've been having, and this sort of almost poacher turn gamekeeper thing.
Definitely
gives you that opportunity to come onto that. Let's pause for a second and go into it, because I'm conscious that we're going to sat here with it. I know you've been chatting away and not been able to devour all that.
To me, that was really nice. Chinese-y a little bit, like a little bit of salt and pepper.
We're moving on now. So this is the Shanghai Oriental. So we're staying over that sort of part of the world. Let's tuck in and see what we think. I think a little bit more sauce on it, isn't there?
A little bit more sauce. I'm going to try the chilies.
You're going to go in there?
I'm going to go with chilies.
You're yearning for the hotness already.
Well, let's see what happens.
I've gone for a flat here.
I've got a flatty.
Oh, it's good. Again, it's quite a sweet flavour from the saltiness of that one. It's a good one to follow up on, isn't it?
It's a little bit hotter.
It's moving up. It's still very much the sort of sweetness of the whole thing.
That's very sweet.
Yeah.
But it's nice with the soy sauce.
Yeah. Get some of the sauce on the actual side of it as well. Very good. We're building up to the proper stuff. You can see it winking over there out the corner of my eye at the moment.
I'm a little bit worried when we get out there.
We're going to be fine.
Yeah.
We're going to be fine.
Yeah, we've got the water, we're ready.
So we spoke about the stuff you've been doing, and moving on and sort of looking at that and being able to get that sort of extra set of eyes on things. So tell me a little bit about how that's done and where you're at now.
So we got to the point where, with my own company, so my company's called Pennington Perkins, I basically have 3 different streams to my, I guess, revenue. So the main thing I do is help a group of FinTechs, and that kind of moves up and down, but I do it on a retained basis, which gives me a bit of time to, it's a bit like fishing. When you're sending a note out or you're contacting a large financial institution, they don't generally reply straight away. Yeah. So it's a little bit of like a slow stick. Yeah, be patient. You don't want to be too pushy. So I do that for the FinTechs. I do due diligence work for private equity, which I really enjoy.
That's interesting.
It's the one thing I'd say is that when I worked full time, and it was at TPI Cap, it could have been at any company. Yeah. I felt like I was fighting fires. You turn up all day long, you work there you sit in the room for 11 hours, and there's issues with a trade, there's issue with staff, there's an issue with this, there's an issue with that. You've got perhaps to present to the board. I was always reacting. So being able to take time, read, go on courses, AI course, blockchain courses, stuff like that. I feel like I'm better now than I was when I was there because of that, and I think it makes me better as a consultant. The PE work is a great example of where I've been able to use my X amount of years of experience to help them on new projects, on acquisitions, etc. And then my third revenue stream is doing expert network work. When you think about it, in the data space, electronic trading space, market structure plays, post-trade, like there's been lots of deals in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. So I've worked on those deals for various PE firms, and it's lucrative. And it's interesting work. So that's really how I now make my living, as it were. What I have found is that, particularly with the FinTechs, that some of them want me to come and do more. And what I've done historically is balance that portfolio and not lean into just one of them. But moving forward, I think that potentially might change.
I'm looking forward to that. There'll be a release coming soon on that. Watch the wires, potentially. Potentially. Excited to hear more of it. All right, I want to get into how that whole e-trading world, we touched on it a little bit, about how data's come into it. Before we do that, let's dive into
we're moving
our next one, which we're moving on to the K-Town now. Fries are great as well, by the way.
Okay, I'll have one of those. I'll go on a drumstick.
Let's have a look at that. I'll go.
What are we expecting here then?
So I've been here as well. K-Town obviously is a clue.
Yeah.
So you're going to get some Korean flavours on it. You've obviously caught up a lot in the wing world recently. Arguably, right up there, but a lot of sauce on this one. What are we thinking?
Interestingly, so far they've all been quite sweet. It's definitely a little bit more go-y, I think is the term.
It's like chicken wing terminology. Oh, there's a first little bit of taste I felt at the back of the palate there as well. A bit of spice coming through.
Yeah.
We're warming up.
That's definitely warmer.
We're warming up.
Yeah, that's definitely warmer. Yeah. We're only 3 in. Okay.
Halfway there.
Yeah. I think I'm going to say this. This is going to come back and bite me. I think I'm pretty good at eating chicken wings.
Yeah.
Spicy ones.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that.
Mate, I think
Stupidly.
I spoke to David beforehand, who's the Wingman himself, and he was talking about how they're a family restaurant and they've had to dumb some of these down a little bit, move them down a little bit in terms of the kick that they've had in there. But I've also been a regular Wingman attendee over the years, and I know that one's had some eye water as it very.
Really?
So
Okay, well,
he's managed to but give us a little bit of extra flavour in this.
I was talking to him beforehand, and he did say that he might add an extra spice in it for us. So,
Very kind.
yeah.
We go through it. Okay.
So, in your world, what are you seeing as the themes? For example, does that correlate to?
For the fintech space as a whole.
Yeah.
Look, I think we're in a really interesting space at the moment. I'm just going to wipe my mouth before I do this, just in case I'm now trapped and immortalised talking about sensible stuff with wings all over my face. So I come in there. But my view of the world at the moment is we're at this massive inflection point, and we've seen various different phases in the fintech space over the last few years. And I think we're at a time now where there's monumental shift in terms of all the technologies that we're talking about. AI obviously being the driving force. And rather than the sort of doom mongering I think sometimes we've seen about it, what I generally think is we're seeing this period of evolution where people are looking at opportunity, and we're seeing people want a basic need to shift productivity. And if you look at the marketplaces and you see about the sort of impact they've had on costs over the last few years, there's only so much things they can do to increase their alpha, increase their capability. And all of a sudden we've got this door opening where you can get more from everyone in your business. So I'm really excited at the moment about the products, the companies who are really leaning into all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And seeing it as an opportunity and saying, right, we can take our business further forward. So there's this massive shift in terms of speed, which has always been on the table. You know, we've seen the latency wars of the early 2010s, etc., through to quality being also important. We're seeing other areas like the crypto piece, piece coming in there, and the whole shift around blockchain and what that may or may not do at various different phases. So I just think when you put all of that into it, plus cloud adoption at scale, which we've seen over the last couple of years, we're seeing real winners into it. But actually, if you think about the end users themselves and what people can do and where they're able to do things now, all of that means it makes it a very, very interesting space. And we're seeing some people here get a lot more creativity around what they're doing. I want to touch on that a little bit later on where we move into it. But yeah, if you think about where the opportunity with AI sits, it all sits on the quality of data. There's a lot of companies that are coming through with data, and I know this is something you've looked into, where you've seen the significance of data in this space becoming more and more important.
Yeah. So I would say, like, my view of it is kind of the fintechs that I'm sort of helping. There is definite themes. So kind of thematically, AI is number one.
Yeah.
And then we're seeing blockchain coming back in a way. People are like looking at it again because they are finding real world financial uses for it, and I think that. So I did work for.
It flips in and out, doesn't it? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
it flips in and out of blockchain being the hot thing versus not. Then it's sort of saying, right, blockchain's just byproducts of crypto being a byproduct of blockchain. What's the more exciting part of it?
Yeah.
It was actually quite an interesting flex between both those. We're potentially arguably looking at crypto into 2.0 at the moment.
Yeah.
And what does that actually mean and where does it go? But the narrative's already shifting, as we said, to some of that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that the interest in blockchain fintechs, blockchain-based fintechs, almost the interest in them is correlated to the price of Bitcoin. It's a little bit crazy.
But almost negatively, it's almost the other way around, isn't it?
100%.
It's like a negative image of that.
Exactly. I did some work for a company called Tokenovate, who are a great.
Also been on the show before.
Have they?
Yeah.
Okay, beat me to it.
Yeah.
They're really.
Richard's fantastic.
Richard's really super smart CEO, like domain expert.
Yeah.
And I think what they're doing is really interesting. I think that, if you had a magic wand and how do you improve the market, you would have much better post-trade services with immediate settlement to release all of this collateral. And I think that people are really now looking at the user cases of things like the repo market, money market funds, for how do we do this better than we're doing it today, because the banks are tying up so much capital doing it in the way they do it historically. The problem you have with a lot of those post-trade ideas is the lift is heavy, and you need to get everybody along for the journey at the same time, and that is very difficult. So yeah, I think that's interesting. AI, the use of AI,
smart use of AI as well.
Smart use of AI.
It's like every company saying, look, we need to use AI. I was with a CTO of a company outside of the FS space on Friday night. And he's a bright guy, and he was talking about how his bosses, who are in a sort of more creative industry, shall we say, were saying we need to look at AI and bring consultants in, et cetera, and doing all this sort of thing. But the problem is they don't actually know what they want AI to do, what problems they want to solve. And I really think that the smart thinking is where you're utilising it and thinking about where do you actually want to go on that journey. And if you can utilise it the right way, efficiency gains, cost reduction, productivity shifts, all of that sort of thing, the margins suddenly go dramatically differently.
Definitely.
And that's the thing I think people need to think a little bit more. Every CEO in the country is saying we need to use AI, what are we doing with AI? We need to win the race with AI. I think you need to look at a great AI strategy, but you need great people on top of that, and you need to enable them to perform better than they have been beforehand. That marriage is where I think it gets really exciting.
100%. And of course, to your point earlier, it's driven by high quality data. Right. And that's so the other thing I've come across as well is that when you go into large institutions, you tend to find that their own internal IT are very motivated to do the funky stuff. So you can go in with another company I do work for, a company called Optech. Got a really smart AI solution for viewing derivative portfolios and being able to investigate them, being able to come up with trade ideas, super smart. Developed by 3 PhDs, they've been working on it for 4 years. There's 12 years worth of PhD work gone into it. I take it to a financial institute and say, look at this can save you, this is an efficiency for you, this could help your desk assistants, this could help your analysts, this could help your desk quant, look at this. And they're like, oh yeah, it's really funky. Yeah, we might build that ourselves. And it's, that is the challenge, is to put forward such a strong case that people go, let's lease it, let's not build it, And I think that's one of the biggest challenges for FinTechs, is to break that barrier and get people to say, no, we're not experts. We're going to buy in the expertise.
So this is an interesting debate that we've heard for a few years now about the buy and build or buy or build. And I think it was buy or build as the original sort of strapline for that whole debate. Feels to me like it's moved a little bit further on to buy and build. And that sort of merger of two, because you're always having in-house teams that want to justify it. But I think when you're looking at expertise and you're looking at people who are very, and I think this is a wider picture about a marketplace that isn't quite so enterprise anymore. One piece of technology that comes in and looks after everything. We're looking at things there which is building, these sort of, in the best possible way, Frankenstein's monsters of work that actually was really specific and really deep. And I think the companies that are deep and specific about what problem they're solving, it'd take a long time to catch up with that sort of stuff, which is an interesting spot.
I think the other thing on that as well is it's amazing how many companies I now go and talk to who have got kind of a partnership with the big guns. So there's a lot of people, a lot of companies now in the city that have got deals with Google or Amazon, generally cloud, cloud services, who have got people who have worked in the markets, have traded in the markets, or have been COOs. They know exactly what's required. I think that a lot of firms are missing the trick by not going to those experts, rather than thinking that the solution might be further up the chain, as it were.
Good place to pause again as we now move on to the.
We're in the middle there, I think.
The world famous Bangkok here. So again, we're out in Asia. Before we finish off by moving on to the
hot stuff.
The hot stuff here. So
right, okay.
Let's see what you got. You're going in there. I'll come in this side.
Right.
Let's see how we're going with this one. We want the sweet again. I'd say less of a kick, actually, interestingly, from the first bite than what we had there. What's your take?
I think Dave is playing tricks on us. Because that's definitely not as hot as that.
That one had a bit more of a punch. We're moving on to the buffalo in a set. It's still very good, very tender chicken.
Yeah.
It's absolutely phenomenal chicken.
It really is.
Every single bite you take on it, isn't it?
What's the spice on that? It's got something nice.
It's just starting to come through, isn't it? It's a pleasantly spiced one. That one's definitely feels a little bit stronger than that one. But as it's probably second bite, it starts to come through a little bit, doesn't it?
Do you prefer this to the sandwiches you did?
Well, Christmas sandwiches are
Christmas sandwiches,
once a year. But look, I'm a wing guy. Wingmans is my second home.
I told people that I was coming to eat chicken wings with Toby Babb, and they said, "I hope it's not a competition."
Let me see what reputation proceeds. So we're going on there a little bit, and there's some. As you're sort of talking through, there's some key things around some of the areas that we're talking about, from AI and everywhere else in between. But tell me a little bit about, you're there and you've got this unique view at the moment where you're seeing a number of different good companies, you're speaking to lots of different people, you're seeing different founders. We've already mentioned a few of them that we both know. And I think there's some phenomenal people in this sort of space.
Really
some really, really cool things. Some of them come from a very technology-based background, some of them a little bit more business-orientated, so there's a different range of skills.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at sort of common trends, where people are succeeding, what some of the people need to look at a little bit further, where some of the pitfalls they're doing, what does that look like for you?
That's a great question.
I've got my thoughts on that as well.
I think that's a really good question. I think to survive, you have to be robust.
Yeah.
I think that you need to be thick-skinned.
Yeah.
I think you need to. I think a lot of people that you're selling to don't know what they want until you've shown it to them.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a lot of companies putting their hand up saying, "Oh, well, let's go and talk to a fintech they must have a solution." And I think it's the other way around. I think they're reacting to what's out there in the marketplace. Well, let me spin it and ask you, where are you seeing the need? What sort of roles are the fintechs looking for? What's the skill set that is obviously the requirement right now?
So that's a really interesting point. And I think it actually comes back to what I'm seeing in the makeup of the founder. I think there's a lot more of a trend of the successful founders I see coming through at the moment who are technical but very product-led. And coming back to your point, I was nodding as you were talking there that I think the people who are thinking about how they can make a real good product and how they can take it and bring that go-to-market, right? This year, if you think 2022, there's an explosion in the need for salespeople.
Yeah.
So in this space, everyone needed salespeople and they were going for it hammer and tong.
Yeah.
And marketing grew significantly particularly over the pandemic. I think it was seen as a sort of different department beforehand. And the pandemic showed how it could really drive sales when the ability to be face-to-face was less.
Yeah.
So I think you saw sales and marketing, go-to-market generally improve. You saw technology-based salespeople. And if I think there's something there which we've seen over the last 6 months in particular, it's been a particular boom in the need for strong go-to-market people, whether that be strong AEs, strong marketing teams, et cetera, et cetera. I think that can be the real alpha for people to go in, because they've got to be able to take that and push that further forward. Alongside that, product I think has been incredibly important over the last couple of years. From a technology basis, obviously all the hype's been around AI. And I think there's, people are talking about developers being dead. I think it's an evolution of the developer into a AI engineering and data engineering. So we've seen a bit of a shift into that sort of space.
Yeah.
I think when you talk about risk and compliance, there's going to be more and more in that in an AI-based world. And particularly when you look at stablecoin and digital assets and everything that's happening in the payments world, that sort of then moves into a bit more need around that as well. So there's this storm of things where it's across a lot of areas. But I just think if you're talking about taking a fintech and moving it further forward, as well as having a good product and the people to build that product properly, those sort of technology-orientated solution salespeople, I think are incredibly important right now. That augments probably the founders who are there and able to not only build a great tech product, but also take that product to marketplace and have the credibility to face off for it. I think something you've seen as well.
Yeah, so I think that's the evolution of a salesperson. Yeah. So going back to TPI cap, even then, as I say, I'm going back sort of four or so years, but what we recognised was that a salesperson who's kind of likable and can get in front of clients, they were really useful when we were launching new products. But as all the commoditized stuff was already electronified, then your new solutions are perhaps more technical.
Yeah.
So maybe kind of optimization tools,
Yeah.
Risk management tools, which become a more complicated, sophisticated maths-based sale. And eventually at TPI Cap, I kind of recognized that, and I had this kind of hybrid almost of like the product people were good with clients, so the product people were quite good salespeople.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you're a salesperson, you had to be very aware of the product.
Absolutely.
And I think that has just continued. And I think it's a really interesting point, which I saw you posted on, which was about EQ versus IQ.
Yeah, absolutely, Grant. And look, I posted that because I think there's loads happening in that. That makes that really important. So let's pause on that for a second, and we'll come on to that. Let's move over to the Buffalo.
Yeah.
My personal favourite.
My favourite. I'm a Buffalo
far
man.
away, you first.
My kids will be very jealous at this point, so I'm going to go for this. This is
You
for
gonna dip into the blue cheese as well.
This is for Ruby and Alfie. This
There you go, Ruby and Alfie, enjoy. Take some doggy bags. Buffalo chicken wings are just phenomenal, and this is right in there for me.
It's got
Good bit of punch to it.
It's got a little punch on it. You can always taste the cream that it's been. Do you know what I mean? It's got that kind of milkiness that it's obviously sat in cream to tenderize it.
It's phenomenal. So I always have this debate. My American friends won't appreciate this, but I've had wings all over the States. Some phenomenal ones out there, but this buffalo sauce is just, hopefully it's in the book, Wings and Things. Read a little bit more about the secret sauce of it, but absolutely.
I checked it, and it's in the book, because I'm going to try it myself.
Trying if you can take it home. Just a phenomenal buffalo.
I enjoyed that one so much. It's the first time I'm going to go back for a second one.
So let's go back on to speaking of that.
Yeah, so you posted about IQ versus EQ, and that really resonated with me. And being as you've stopped eating, you could perhaps
I'll take this one as your devouring number 2. So look, IQ and EQ. IQ and EQ comes out of a conversation I was having out in the States a couple of weeks ago, and it was in a world where everything is going to become a level playing field, where IQ is effectively your ability to code, etc., to do different things, is going to be leveled a little bit by what's happening in the AI world. It comes down to the most human skills that get the premium. And I think there's been a massive push to STEM over the last few years. I think actually, speaking of talking about, Brendan Bradley was replied to that post as well.
That's right.
Saying something quite interesting about the education sector and where it all goes to, and languages and modern languages and how those have all been hit. But I just think there's this incredible opportunity at the moment to recognise the most human skills and how people can take ideas and take problems and deliver solutions to them and put it, come back to the whole GTM thing. I think there's been this shift from traditional sales through to sales with a bit of knowledge. There's a great book by a guy called Dan Pink which just says to sell as human. And he says we're all in sales now. And the whole point of that book is in every single situation, it used to be buyer beware. So you used to have much more knowledge from a buyer to the position of the seller. They'd be able to do things they didn't know all that information. Now with the advent of the internet and Google, the buyer suddenly had a lot more knowledge. So this all singing, all dancing salesperson who just charmed with charisma and charisma alone was suddenly up against it a little bit because people knew what they were talking about.
Yeah.
So they had to get more knowledge than the customer, or at least to be paired with it.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in this sort of space. If I think 20 years ago, the sort of salespeople I was talking to, it was very much the people who could sit there in the pub and take people out and wine and dine and all those sort of things.
Yeah.
Now it's moved into people who've got real knowledge and understanding and insight. And if you look at your background and to what you're doing now, it's absolutely the one-armed man in the land of the blind, right? And that makes
How dare you?
but it makes you a great salesperson. You've got that knowledge, and in that sort of space to take it further forward. And I think that's a really important part of the journey for people to recognise. And the people who I love working with and seeing are the ones who are dripping in that EQ, who understand the concept of empathy, who listen, who think about what people need from their products, etc., etc. And that makes a really exciting job. And it's not just the salespeople. We're talking products here. We're talking even engineering, etc. The engineers who used to sit there in the corner with their headphones on, don't talk to me. Yeah. It's now what am I actually trying to do? Where am I looking to go and take this further forward? So I know the time's wrapping through, so let's move on to the real hot stuff
so this
now.
is the hot one.
As the conversation's been heating up all the way through to a crescendo.
Yeah.
Let's get into a bit of Jamaican me crazy.
Do you want me to go first?
You far away. You far away. And
How are you feeling? Are you feeling any kind of?
good. I've got a little bit more of a flush and I got into.
Yeah, I'm seeing a little dab of sweat. My nose starts running and I get the hiccups. So it could be the end of the podcast.
Well, it's perfect.
Right, I'm going
timing.
to get that one because that's
You've got
nice
a
and
good bit of
meaty.
meat on
Oh,
there,
yeah, actually, I'm going to get a chili just to add to
There
it.
you go.
I
To
think
really
it's-
kick it off, it should have a proper crescendo.
Here we
So,
go.
As you're going through that, I'm going to sort of phase up the next sort of phase of questioning, which is about, as we look at that and we think about the disruption of AI, and we think about the sort of, the sort of significance of EQ as it comes through, and we think about what it's going to do in the markets as a whole. As we said at the very start, you were talking about a change in the electronifications of the markets and all this sort of thing. Now, if we say, right, we've got the AI of the markets.
Yeah. It's a step up.
Tell us what you think we've got next and what's coming and what the market looks like. But first and foremost, tell me how you're getting on with that.
It's good. It's definitely the hottest one.
It's got some punch, hasn't
It's got some punch. I think it might have like a Scotch bonnet going on. It's a really dry chili. The nose is running on cue, exactly as I said it would. Get ready for the hiccups. Well, what I would say, kind of a little bit tongue-in-cheek, is the reason that I've got a job today doing my consulting is that IQ EQ thing, in my opinion, and that is a lot of the guys who develop the idea, the original idea, which becomes a company, which becomes a fintech, are super smart people, the PhDs, the quants, etc. And maybe they're sort of born out of maybe an academia career, or they're born out of a corner in an investment bank. So they haven't necessarily got a full picture of the market. They may not necessarily have a network, right? So they've got the best idea ever, but they don't know really how to position it and how to sell it, and they don't know where to go. And I think that a kind of a bit of a catchphrase would be that nowadays IQ's everywhere with AI.
Yeah.
And EQ's increasingly rare.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a really important point in where we are, because I think that going forward, the AI businesses won't be taking jobs. I do think that there's a real positive spin on it, and there's a lot of room for augmentation of human activity.
Yeah.
And I think that we should be more positive. It's difficult in the current climate and the geopolitics, which is for another day, to be a little bit on the negative side and be bearish. But I do think that there's so many opportunities, and I for one, am really pleased that I can help some of these smaller AI companies find their place, find their people, and begin to sell. And I'm kind of very glad they work with me, and I'm very glad that I can help them.
Perfect. Well, look, that's a great way to finish up. We've absolutely nailed these. We've got a little bit more to go.
Have you finished it?
When the camera goes, look, it's gone.
Okay, all right.
You've been very neat with your carcasses over there. This isn't one for the vegans. I apologise for anyone watching of that persuasion. But listen, it has been, as always, an absolute pleasure. Even more so when chicken wings are involved in the whole thing. We're going to go off camera and absolutely devour the rest of this now, or as many as we can. And David, it's been absolutely brilliant. So if people want to find out more and get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn as David Perkins. My website's www.penningtonperkins.com. I'm the only thing I would say at the end is that I'm just finishing my NED course. So I think the next thing for me is to look at ways in which I can add value on a kind of a board level rather than on the executive distribution level. So yeah, that's me, and I really appreciate the wings and your time and the water. I think the water.
The water's been off. It's moving to milk if we get rid of the first thing. David, listen, absolutely fantastic, and thank you for David and Wingman's team for hosting us as well. This has been one of my favourite ever episodes, and it's been absolutely superb. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you soon on the next episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.